Almost time. 10 seconds. Here we go. Oh, I love it. The on-air sign works. It's so good. It's all lit up. We're on air now. Great. This is good. As long as we don't have like applause or cheers or boo signs. That's good. Used to do that. At PTL, when they were live, they used to have a person who'd stand over on the side and would indicate when you're supposed to go. They'd stand there and go. And then it'd go. Up and so you, oh, okay. So this is all created. Good. Let's don't do that. So let's be in the moment. Good to see everybody. Happy Father's Day. On the national calendar, in the church calendar, we're in basically ordinary time or time after Pentecost, which is the longest section of the church year. You have at least 32 in a row, something to that effect, of what we used to call ordinary time, or green. That as the color is green, and not my most favorite of colors, and so, but there it is. So this basically during this period of time, we're talking about teachings of Jesus, actions of Jesus. As he walks along, if we use the gospel lesson. Now remember, there's an Old Testament lesson, there's an epistle lesson, there's a psalm, there's the gospel lesson. 75% of all the people who still use Lectionary, we're not that many people anymore. I just happen to be one of them. 75% of the time, they pick the gospel lesson. So there are years of y'all have known that I go and do the opposite. But the last couple of years, I've gone with the gospel lesson because I like to keep it going. So I guess that maybe next year I'll go, ooh, let's do the epistle lessons, or let's, we'll see how it goes. I don't know. Or maybe I won't. I have no idea. But this is well, I'll tell you that in a second. Let's read it, and then we'll go from there. Chapter 10, verses 24 through 39. Also keep this in mind today. We have a number of the people who are going on the mission trip are going to be in the service. Like I'm giving out piece parts to everybody, or as many as I possibly can. We have like 14 going, so I couldn't come up with 14 things, or we'd be here till like 2 o'clock, and yeah, that's not happening. I gave out some parts to those who wanted, because not everybody also wants to do this either, but be in front of folks. But we distributed out parts and everything. So I just wanted everybody to go, okay, y'all, we're commissioning them, we're sending them. Let's remember them. We're in this together, because we are a connectional congregation as a Reformed tradition, and we're, first of all, people have contributed and helped financially and in other ways, and we want people praying for them and thinking about them all week long, because they are representing us when they are there, okay? So there's that part. So that's going on here at the same time we're talking about this passage. So Matthew chapter 10, verses 24 through 39. Kind of a longer section, so I got to break it up, and 2 people get to read, so that's good. Here we go. 24 through 39, and it kind of breaks in the middle, but that's okay. And this is Jesus speaking, of course. A disciple is not above the teacher, nor a slave above the master. It is enough for the disciple to be like the teacher, and the slave to be like the master. And if they have called the master of the house of Beelzebub, how much more will they malign those of his household? So, have no fear of them, for nothing is covered up that will not be uncovered, and nothing secret that will not be made known. What I say to you in the dark, tell in the light, and what you hear whispered, proclaim from the housetops. Do not fear those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather, fear him who cannot destroy both soul and body in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Yet not one of them will fall to the ground apart from your Father. And even the hairs of your head are all counted. So do not be afraid. You are of more value than many sparrows. Everyone, therefore, who acknowledges me before others, I also will acknowledge before my Father in heaven. But whoever denies me before others, I also will deny before my Father in heaven. Do not think that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And one's foes will be members of one's own household. Is that? Oh, no. Okay. Whoever loves father more or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And whoever loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And whoever does not take up the cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Those who find their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake will find it. Familiar? Most of it? Yeah. Okay. In our circles, people who sit around and talk about this stuff, we call this one of the hard sayings of Jesus. You know why? Because it's a hard saying. Wow, surprise. Yeah, no. It's like, oh, that's clever. Yeah. So, yeah. This is called a hard saying of Jesus. And I'd say we got that one pretty much right. Hard saying of Jesus, right? So, you know how we do this. Just open up. Y'all sit there, you hear this, and you go, yeah, I've heard this before, or I've heard it again, or I'm hearing it again, or I'm hearing it again for the first time, or I haven't heard it in a while. What jumps out to you when you hear Jesus say these things?
Part of it is, and it's probably, I'm trying to put my own spin on it, is pick up your cross and follow me. Like,
Yeah.
How much do I have to pick up?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, should I be up there doing like you? Should I be preaching? Or should I just be listening? How much do I follow? I mean,
Right.
how much am I supposed to do?
Great question. Bonhoeffer takes this and says, Jesus who bids those to follow bids them to come and die. And of course, if you know the end of the story of Bonhoeffer, that pretty much works out. But and you have to, Jesus talking about crosses then. In his day, crosses were pretty ugly. It's pretty gruesome. And everybody would be somewhat accustomed to them because that's how Rome dealt with non-Roman citizens. If you were a Roman citizen, they didn't do that to you because that was cruel. They were much kinder to you. They just chopped your head off with a sword as opposed to crucifying you on a cross. Much quicker, less painful. I mean, there you go. But the crosses were something that people could see. I mean, if you wanted to, they weren't, Rome wanted to make sure you saw them as a deterrent and as well. So the image is good. Now of course, I have to think about this in audiences. First audience, the disciples hearing this, they would be going, why is he talking about a cross for? What's that got to do with us? Second audience definitely understood. Those who were hearing this written down in the, when Matthew's gospel came out in the 70s-ish time period, they would have been, they'd have went, oh, okay, we know what this is about. We definitely know, because the cross is a pretty central image of who we are, and so we hear that. So, what does it say to it? What am I supposed to be doing with this? Yeah, okay, that's a valid question. But of course, the other part of that is if everybody was doing this, then yeah, there'd be, and there's so much of faith that takes place outside these walls, right? I mean, y'all live out there. Now, as this one kid, I remember in Laurinburg, she said, she walked up to me, and she was a relative of one of our members, and she said, she walked up to me and said, "Do you live here in this building?" And I went, "Sometimes it feels like it," but y'all don't live here. Y'all live out in the world. We gather here. We're the called out gathering. We come here to worship God together because that's what the church does. That's what being a Christian is. That's a part of it. That we come and we worship. But then what do I do every Sunday at the end? Send you out. I don't say, okay, y'all, lock the doors and let's hang out. It's like, y'all got to go back out there and do your thing. And so that's a part of discipleship, is that you live your faith right where you are every day.
And to me, one of the hardest parts of this is the families.
Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm.
Going out and
Mm-hmm.
to those people.
Right.
One thing.
Right.
Going home and,
Mm.
you've got a child
Yeah.
doesn't agree, and maybe can't even express it, but then just kind of goes off on her own.
Uh-huh.
So because, I guess because it's so personal
Mm-hmm.
to you,
Right.
that's a hard thing in this passage.
Isn't it interesting, too, when it comes to that part, because, hey, y'all, come on in. That notion that family here that he's hitting on, especially, isn't it interesting, that comes up on how the national calendar today bumps up against the passage, on a certain level, because this is one of those greeting card, days, that I'm sorry, but y'all know that's true. It was invented that way, and we want to recognize. I love being a father. Wouldn't trade it for the world. Especially these days, I'm so glad. But, not everybody has a great connection with their father. And that's fine too, and how that works out. But here, this passage kind of wants to, talk about Jesus and how following him may cause confrontation in the home. Remember, Matthew's gospel, written to Jews who are Christians, probably having some headbutting at the house.
But wouldn't it be at that time period that kind of what the father said the religion was going to be in the household was
Yeah.
religion in the household?
Yeah, because Joshua, that verse we love to print on pillars and put in our houses. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And basically what it meant was, I'm Joshua, I get to make the shot. I call the shots. My kids, my wife, everybody in the house, they don't get to say. They just have, whatever he says, right? We don't live by that, but they, okay, and so even, so making this choice in the first century probably did have people button up again. I mean, even, remember Jesus calling the disciples, come follow me. They drop their nets and they follow. Dad's standing there going, what the heck? You know? I mean, this is the business, you know? And Zebedee and sons, you know, fishing, you know, shrimping. No, I wouldn't do shrimp. Sorry. But you know, trout, I don't know, whatever, I have no idea. But, you know, so there is that confrontation. So you might feel that bumping up against each other. So, interesting how this plays out. What else, what other part of this? That's a lot, isn't it? I mean, for us, because don't we, I mean, y'all, we in the South, we in the Bible Belt South, we in the buckle of the Bible Belt South, and we know, I mean, you look at social media and look at people when they list their stuff. God, family, country, guns, or whatever, I don't know, you know, but family is right there after God. And here Jesus is going, yeah, maybe. It could be that when you follow me, family goes, hey, stop. Stop doing that. You know, I imagine, especially farther back, when women started deciding they were going to be called to go to seminary, I bet that caused some problems in some households. For dads, moms, like, hey, wait a second, we don't do that. Now there are more women in seminary than there are men. So now it's like, okay, that's not a big deal anymore. I don't think, maybe. So yeah, that's right. Yeah, the female associates I've had, the votes that were against them in the sanctuary tended to be the women, not the men. So, strange. Well, maybe, I don't know. I do remember that one church near ours when I was on COM where they had to have a restraining order against a woman in the church because she was harassing a woman who decided to serve on session. So, yeah. So, yeah, we were involved in that. So, I know. Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah, Committee on Ministry and Cops can sometimes be somewhat equivalent, just better dressed than some of those episodes, yeah. But, yeah, it's just, when you're sitting there as a pastor from another church dealing with that, you're like, yeah, this is what I want to spend my Thursday night doing. This is it right here, man. Having a discussion about a member taking a restraining order out against another member of the church. Good stuff. So we have those kind of confrontations about what it means to follow and serve. What else we hear?
Well, to me, I mean, this, like you said, this is the rough passage that Jesus basically said, if you don't do these things,
Yeah.
I'm not going to recognize you when it's your time to come to heaven.
Yeah.
Like,
There is a serious...
it's so good, right? I don't know.
Yeah. So, easy to see why we call this a hard saying. Because we call him the Prince of Peace. Remember at Christmas? Don't we say that over and over and over again? And we mean it. And here, Jesus says to us, yeah, but I've come to bring a sword. And that's not a self-protection or a violent sort of saying. Let me be clear about that. He is saying that I'm coming to this, when I show up, sometimes, at least, it causes trouble. So, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And again, being Matthew talking to Jewish folks who are following Jesus, it's definitely the image is there. Why would you have that image? Because they can relate to it. They know this. When he tells that story, boom, they get it. They get the image. Yeah. Just like any of us who have our family stories, when somebody brings up something, you're sitting around at Thanksgiving and so, hey, everybody remember old Uncle Ned? And everybody goes, oh yeah, we remember, and you make that reconnection, whether you want to or not. But so they're doing the same thing. He's bringing this up. He tells it this way, and these people are sitting there going, yep, we get that. We get what you're saying. We get what you're saying. So what do we do with this today? What do we, as the church, do with this?
I guess it's supposed to remind us that even though it's hard,
Mm-hmm.
we have an obligation to try to reach across the divide
Mm-hmm.
that we may find in our family or in our friends or
Mm-hmm.
in the community.
Could mean that when we make decisions to do what Jesus did, it causes problems. And when we go, wow, I decided to do this thing to help and be merciful to somebody, and people got mad. Why would they do that? And Jesus says, excuse me, let me just remind you that when I did it, they got mad at me too. So, and if it happens to me, why do you think it's not going to happen to you? And that, I think, is the danger of us living in such the Bible Belt South, because everybody's Christian. Everybody's supposed to be just like us. We're supposed to be, everybody's supposed to be like us, no matter what. Y'all are supposed to be like us. Really? Jesus kind of thinks otherwise. Jesus says, when you're going to walk around like me, sometimes folks might not appreciate, healing the sick people or showing compassion to folks that nobody else would spend time with. Jesus is saying here, hey, this costs us something. This costs you something. And that's what makes it hard. So think about it in the life of our congregation today. We got people we're about to send them out for a week, and it's going to cost them something. Those adults have to go, not that it's bad to hang out with teenagers, but they're giving up time. Some people might be on vacation. Some people, kids, in this day and age, teenagers, they're not getting paid for this for sure. So they lose out on pay. I don't know how much this helps the resume for colleges anymore. It may or it may not. I'm not sure. I know there was a day when it would, and it may or it may not now. I have no idea. But they have to give up all this to go. It's going to be hot. Aren't they going to Tennessee? I know they're going to the line. Yeah, so they have to go to Tennessee. God, bad enough. No, I mean, but the weather, really. And all that they're going to be doing, that's kind of a counting the cost, giving up, doing that. Families have to, it's costing a little bit of money here and time. And so that's part of it. That's a part of it. What else? Where does this hit us in other places?
Well, I think we see in social media and lots of places now where
Yeah.
being Christian is hard,
Mm-hmm.
even in the Bible Belt South. Because
Yeah.
it's, for some, it's kind of had negative connotations at it. Instead of focusing on,
Yeah.
what we focus on,
Yeah.
is the grace of Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's true.
it's,
Yeah. It is difficult.
So,
Mm.
so you're kind of, sometimes you're kind of at a loss as to how do I present myself? And
It's good. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. But, and you're right, too, because I think you're never quite sure which angle people are looking at Christianity from. Is it from over here? Is it from over here? If I'm looking at it from over here, then that person's not. And if I'm looking at it from over here, that person's not. And you're just like, well, we're just trying to be faithful to Jesus. We're not, we're not trying to align to one political party or the other, or this person, that person, or this guy. We're going to go, hey, y'all, we're just trying to be faithful here and navigate these other things.
I was going to say it back more shit than friendships. I mean, I got a lot of friends that aren't Christian. Matter of fact, went motorcycle riding yesterday, and a lot of them going, hey, we're going riding tomorrow. You already got it. I'm going to church tomorrow. Mind if we do it after that? No, but why can't you miss church? No, I can't miss church. Well, you guys ought to come to church with me. We don't believe that.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm sorry, but
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. This notion of cutting into this time is like, what's the big deal about that? And then here y'all sit, you're giving up your time to be here. That's an interesting, yeah. When I was a student in Durham, I worked at a church in Raleigh, so it took, it was like 30 minutes to get there. And so, yeah, Deb and Candace didn't go because Candace was 2, and I had to be there for the early service. So that means I had to leave the house at 8 o'clock or something, or 7:30 or something. It was more like you had to get over there and get ready. And so it was like, that wasn't happening. And so when I'd come back, I'd be all, churched up, like you do. And so, or I'd have a collar on back then, and you'd stop and get gas or something, and they didn't have Apple Pay back then to where I could just do it at the thing and drive off. I'd have to go in, and all these people would be going to the lake up in Durham, which I can't remember which lake it was, but yeah, yeah, that's it, yeah. And then I'll be looking at you like, okay, and they're all they're all chilling, and you're just like, here I am. Yeah, that's right. I've been to church, folks. How good to see you. But they, and treat you like, okay, this is an awkward moment. So, and that's not bad. I mean, personally, that's not really persecution. That was just the oddity of the moment, that you're standing there and trying to pay for your gas for your car. But that is that kind of tension that we live in sometimes as the church. You're right. That's a part of how we give ourselves away. Yeah, well, and maybe but see, there's that sword thing, because when you do this, when you do show some sense of compassion or, help in a way that that the world feels very uncomfortable, it does make other people feel like, ew, ugh. And so that's another part of the tension that we live in all the time. So the question for us, as always, is that we don't need to necessarily be so shocked that when we feel this tension in the world, because Jesus is saying, hey, this is just, he's not promoting it, he's not encouraging it, he's not saying go figure out ways you can go irritate people. He's just saying, hey y'all, the honest truth is that this costs you something. This costs you something. And just take that in consideration when you're going forward.
And when for so many things, it has no, you perceive that it has no value. It costs you something. It has no value to you.
This is true.
It's something that is, it is considered, that's when
Yeah.
it does cost you.
And I've told you this image before, but I want to keep it in front of us because I think this is really true. Fred Craddock, preaching professor from Emory, and the late Fred Craddock, he said, we think about dying on the cross in this is a big thing, is a big commitment, and that would be. But we don't live in a world where that's necessary. We don't worry about that. When we walk out this door, we don't go, boy, somebody's going to be out there, more than likely, is going to be out there waiting for us to take us out because we're Christians or to, But that it's like a roll of quarters. Instead of a $10 bill, it's a roll of quarters, and that we give ourselves away a quarter at a time. Not so much in the whole $10 bill, but that's we, in this day and age, in where we live. If we were in Nepal, that's a whole different discussion. But we don't live in Nepal. We live in Harrisburg, North Carolina, Concord, Charlotte. And that we give ourselves away a quarter at a time, as opposed to the whole $10 bill at a time. And that's how we have to think about our faith and how we live. And may we continue to think about that as we go forward. Let's pray. Gracious God, we give thanks for even hard sayings of Scripture where Jesus confronts us in a way that we're not used to Jesus confronting us. And may we take serious these words of how we give ourselves away, even if it's just a little bit at a time. May we be faithful.